What's this kind of mean to you as a coach here against South Carolina?
Well, it means a lot. Certainly, having been here, this will be my 10th one. You know, it's one of our biggest competitors, and certainly a game that's important to our fans and our team. And you know, I think it's a game that Frank and I both wish sometimes got a little more media coverage and generate a little bit more throughout the state sometimes. But I think it's, you know, it's a really competitive game, and certainly a fierce but good rivalry. And you know, we have a lot of respect for their staff and the way they play, how hard they play, how competitive they are. I think both teams try to be very good defensively. We don't play the same ways, but I think there's a respect there that both coaching staffs have for each other, and I think that's good with this rivalry.
You haven't been home since November 21st, so what is going to have to change to break that 3-game streak you guys are on?
Yeah, you know, we just need to play better. I thought we played very well against Colorado and probably ran out of gas a little bit at the end in that game. And then the last 2 games, we only played good for halves. In the second half of both Minnesota and Florida State, we played very poorly. And, you know, I'm disappointed in that. We talked about it as a team. You know, I don't know the reasons exactly. I think Florida State elevated their play drastically, made one adjustment that it probably bothered us a little bit. It took us a while to figure some things out, and then once they got both teams got, you know, strong momentum and started feeling good at home, crowds got into the game and it became more difficult, and we just didn't respond very well. So, you know, we've talked about how we've got to handle a little bit of adversity better, and, you know, we're going to be in a very physical, tough game this Sunday.
Brad, how difficult has it been to evaluate this team, considering all the injuries you guys have had, and you got other guys that are starters possibly sitting on the bench?
Yeah, a little bit. It's probably been a little more challenging than I would have liked. As much of anything, just practices, not having as many bodies in practice to go competitively against one another. Our walk-ons do a great job, but they're not physically at the level that you know, our scholarship guys are. And so when we're playing with 8 scholarship guys and you're trying to get in a lot of things and do a lot of things, usually you have your top 7 or 8 with you, and then you're kind of playing against whoever's left. And, you know, sometimes that's probably given us a false sense of how well we're doing. And, you know, maybe we don't get as tired because we're not competing against good players, good on good scholarship level guys, size and speed, as often in practice. We've really only been able to do it in small segments. And I think that's slowed a little bit of development on certain players. And then obviously the injuries themselves, you know, have slowed. You know, it has been nice. Clyde has been able to do half-court work here the last week and a half. And so that's been another body that's been able to help us. Jonathan Bear being back here the last really 2 weeks for practices, consistent practices, has started to kind of help and been able to allow us to do a little bit more. The last couple of days we've been able to do more than we've done in really a month because of Chase's injury and Alex Hemingway being out. And, so that part of it has been a little bit difficult.
Coach, when you look at South Carolina, how much of a matchup problem is A.J. Lawson with his length on the perimeter?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. You know, he's NBA level talent guy that has gotten tremendous experience playing overseas, as well as being a primary player now for South Carolina for 2 years. I mean, he can really score. He can shoot it. He can handle the ball. He can play the 1. He can play the 2. He's a problem, and you know, we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to him, and our guys are going to have to do a great job of trying to make, you know, if he does score, make it take several shots to do it.
With A.J. Lawson coming back, he hasn't really played that much this season, I think, if at all. how do you evaluate what he's done when he hasn't played that much this season?
A.J. Lawson?
Sorry, Keyshawn Bryant. My
Keyshawn
fault.
Bryant,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Well, you know, we know what kind of player he is because we saw him last year. He's a tremendous athlete, fierce competitive guy, really good attacking you in closeout situations, very good offensive rebounder. You know, obviously that's been hard for them. That's a big injury. I mean, he started a lot last year, and he's a good player. And, you know, his athleticism, his competitive spirit really is, you know, that's what Frank likes. And so you can see why he's, you know, probably one of his favorites, I would imagine. And, you know, he's starting to get back healthy. He's played 2 games, and I would look for him to play, you know, significant minutes against us.
Coach, how encouraged are you with Sims shooting the ball a little bit better from 3 the last couple games?
Yeah, that's, you know, Amir's shooting is not anything we've ever been worried about. I know he started the year poorly, but, you know, water finds its level, whatever the phrase is that people use, that he's gonna shoot the ball better, and he's made a couple in recent games, and, you know, it's good for his confidence, and that's a part of who he is, but I've talked to him at length about that's not who he needs to become. You know, he's a tough, physical, smart basketball player that can play inside and out and needs to do so to be very good. And, you know, it's a different year for him. You know, he's now one of the top guys on our scouting report for the first time in his life. You know, there's no Marquise Reed, Elijah Thomas, Shelton Mitchell, a lot of guys that were ahead of him. And so he's got a responsibility to play well and to produce. And that's not always points, but he's got to play in a certain way and with a confidence and a swagger about him that helps the younger guys and newer guys on our team. And our guys look to him for that. And so when he plays well and does those things, it really gives energy, positive energy to other guys. And when he's having a poor game, it's not because he's missed shots. It's because he hasn't defended, he hasn't rebounded, he hasn't maybe made some other plays, good basketball plays that we need him to do, and we ask a lot of him. So he's getting that message, but certainly to see him make a couple here recently is what we expected.
Hey, Brett, sorry